What's going on, guys? Welcome back to No Reserves Radio. I'm your host, Rehn. With me, as always, Austin. No Angelo this week. Few things out of the way first. One, if you're tuning in expecting a basketball episode, this is not it, and we'll get into that in a second. Two, Angelo had a bit of an emergency. That's why we did not release an episode last weekend. Since we're in the middle of our off season and we're in the middle of the top 10 position players by position, I don't know why I said it that way. You get what I'm saying. We're in the middle of our list. We didn't want to do that without one of us being here. So we took last week off. We thought Angelo would be ready this week, but he's not. So we're kind of calling an audible this week. It will not be a basketball episode because there's nothing going on. And without our list, we're kind of at a standstill. So instead, what we're going to do is, if you want to, you do not have to. If you tuned in expecting a basketball episode, you are perfectly within your right to tune out at any point in time. We understand. We apologize for not having basketball content this week. We will be back next Sunday, 100%. I think Angelo and Alex will be back on Thursday with a football pod. They also missed this week because that's just Angelo and Alex. And without Angelo there,
it's only
Alex. Yeah, he couldn't do it by himself because you'd just be listening to Alex talk to himself, and that would probably be a little weird.
A little concerning.
And a little concerning because knowing Alex, he might argue with himself. So instead, what are we doing here? Well, the title will tell you. So we'll include that in the title. We won't have some like clickbaity title just because, again, you don't know what you're listening to otherwise. Instead, we're going to nerd out for a little bit. And I don't know how long this episode's going to be because we don't know what we're doing right now. But if you look at the little scroll bar at the bottom of your screen, you'll be able to tell before we will how long this is. And if you want to listen to Austin and I nerd out for however long this may be, go for it. But we kind of sat down and we were talking about like what could Austin and Rehn talk about for an extended period of time without a lot of pauses.
We weren't really even talking about it. We mentioned it and we both knew exactly what to talk about.
We kind of went into it with a plan of 100% what we were going to be doing. Hold on. My dog just came in here. Go away, Sal. Go away. Go. Okay. Sorry, dog. And the only thing we could come to that would be something we could both talk about for an extended period of time to each other and not have a ton of lapses was Disney. Because if you've been listening to the show for a long time, we've done a lot of the Who We Are videos, episodes where we kind of talk about like us and our interests. And a consistent callback for Austin and Rehn is always Disney. Like we are.
Fun fact. I'm going to Disney this weekend.
He's going to Disney this weekend. Austin lives in Florida. That's, again, if you've been listening for a while, you know that. So the reason we thought this would be a good idea is this weekend. So we're planning on releasing this episode on Saturday, normally released on Sunday. You know that. D23, which is the Disney fan convention type thing. It's Disney's Comic-Con is this weekend. Specifically, the parks experience is on Saturday, which I think is the day where we're going to release this. And that's more what Austin and I are into. Like, obviously, we grew up watching Disney. Like, and to this day, we still watch the movies, just because it's a callback to childhood nostalgia or whatever.
Me and my wife actually just started rewatching all of the X-Men movies because we saw the new Deadpool and Wolverine, and we're like, let's go rewatch all of them.
The weird thing is, like, watching those specific movies, like, because back when comic book movies were still, I don't want to say fringe, but like they weren't super mainstream. Like the Spider-Man.
When they were in their infancy.
Yeah. And like they were like wearing all the like comic book costumes and like, because like in the Marvel movies, like they sometimes they make jokes about that, like when they're wearing the comic costumes.
Yeah.
But those early ones, they're good. They're also like there's moments where you just kind of like, ew.
A little cringy.
It didn't age well. So if you're into Disney or you're into listening to Austin and Rehn talk about things they're passionate about, join us, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of do our predictions and expectations and the rumors for what they're going to announce at D23 pertaining to the parks. Now, we can talk about the whole thing. Like, there's a lot. Like, obviously, I think they're going to bring the Fantastic Four cast out during the Marvel experience.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'll probably get a new Captain America trailer, a Doomsday trailer, maybe a teaser, not necessarily a full trailer, because I think that we'll get the first Doomsday official trailer shortly after New World Order.
Yeah.
Because I think the post-credit scene for New World's Order is going to set up Doom with Robert Downey Jr. And let's talk about that. How do you feel? Like I said, we were going to talk about the parks, but how do you feel about Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU as Doom?
So, I mean, we've kind of talked about this before, just you and I. I am mixed feelings about it. You know, growing up, Iron Man was like my movie, right? He was one of my favorite characters. Robert Downey Jr. just does him such justice, but I I have an issue with seeing him become the bad guy. I just don't want it to be about the whole they know who Tony looks like, right? They know what he looked like.
Right.
And when Doctor Doom shows up and that mask comes off, everyone's just going to lose their mind and be so confused. I just feel like that trope's been done enough. I'm just tired of it. But you can't really knock the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is probably one of the best actors to make Doom come to life at the same point, at the same time.
So, like, I have two comments on it. One, it's Doom. We shouldn't even necessarily, like, visually know that it's Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the mask should never come off. It will. It absolutely will. My theory is that it's going to be an alternate timeline where Tony goes cuckoo after having all the PTSD after the wormhole in Avengers, and
So
he keeps seeing.
you think it's going to branch off from like before Ultron?
Yeah, I
Or
think that
instead of
this is.
making someone to protect the planet, he's going to make himself the protector.
Yeah, he's going to. I think he's going. I think we're going to basically almost see Ultron version 2, because I don't think it's going to be like Doom by himself. It's going to be Doom with like Doombots or whatever they're going to call them.
Yeah.
Where Tony has made all these suits of armor to protect the world, because that was his vision during Civil War. And we need to just do a whole episode on Marvel. Honestly, we need to get everyone here to do it. But
Yeah.
my guess is that's what it's going to be. Is it's going to be a branching timeline where this was his response to Thanos, and in his timeline, he, like, Doctor Doom or Tony Stark or whatever it's going to be, killed Thanos and saved the world, and then became a dictator or whatever the case may be.
Preparing for the next enemy, then the next enemy, the next enemy, and actually becoming the enemy
like,
himself.
living long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
Again, living to the tropes, but I don't have a problem with it, because, like I said, if they do it right, I think it will fit very well within the MCU. I would be more concerned with them bringing back, and this is as someone who's like, my favorite hero is Captain America, and like, if they were like, we're bringing back Chris Evans to play Captain America, I'd be like, no, don't, because like, that story ended. I am happy with how Captain America and Iron Man's journeys ended, and those actors coming back, like, it kind of hurts it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do it right, I think it could pay off really well.
I feel like it's a high risk, high reward.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right. If it absolutely flounders, it's going to just besmirch all that Marvel did with Iron Man and his, ultimate sacrifice.
Because, like, when you're looking at it pragmatically, like, the two characters, because let's be real, the entire phase up to the Infinity Saga, or I guess the entire Infinity Saga, was the story of Captain America and Iron Man. Like, those are the two leaders of the Avengers, and the side of good. And they both start polar opposites and they end polar opposites, but in different ways. Like they cross at a certain point because you start with Iron Man, because Iron Man started this whole journey that we're still on like 20 years later, which is insane. Where Tony Stark is this egocentric narcissist, like womanizer, terrible person, really.
Yeah.
And he ends making the ultimate sacrifice, right? Like the ultimate selfless act. And then Captain America starts the opposite side, where he's this goody two shoes, always putting himself on the line for others, sacrificing himself for others, making the sacrifice play. And then at the end, he makes the selfish decision of, I'm going to live my life with Peggy. So you get kind of like both characters went through a whole arc where they ended up kind of as each other, but in good ways.
They earned it.
Yeah. So anyway, I said we weren't going to talk about that. We do need to do a whole episode on Marvel and just get everyone here because there's a lot that could be said on that. But
yeah,
in relation to D23, which is the point of this episode, I think we'll get a teaser for Doom. I don't know what you do to build hype after, was it Comic-Con where Downey Jr. came out with the mask on? Nothing you can do lives up to that, but I just like maybe a scene of him like turning into the camera in the full costume, something like that.
Yeah.
We're not going to get anything more than that. Besides that, no one cares because the Kang like Marvel's so up in the air right now after dude that played Kang was a piece of shit. So
yeah,
there's a lot of loose ends to tie up.
Sure.
I don't remember what else is on the docket because there's cruises, which we're not going to talk about because.
I mean, personally, I think let's just start with the parks.
Start with the parks.
And personally, I think let's start with the international parks.
Okay.
Because we're less familiar with those, and then we can hit. Because I feel like we're gonna spend a lot of time on Orlando
Disney
for
World.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the most because, like I said, I kind of warned you. I had my big bold prediction, which I think is kind of out of left field.
Yeah.
Do we have? Hold on, sorry, I scrolled too high up. So yeah, let's start with international. What have you got for your rumors?
So the biggest thing that I've seen is, well, one, internationally they got rid of Space Mountain.
Right. Which
Space
is
Mountain
crazy.
Closed. I know, it's really weird to think about.
Also, isn't Tokyo closing Astro Blasters? Which that ties into like one of my predictions for Orlando. Because there's like this push within Disney to modernize, right? And Astro Blasters, as fun as it is, it's kind of dated.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so having gone to, I went to Disneyland, right, a couple years ago. Astro Blasters is at.
Your mic cut out.
Compared to what we have.
You're like cutting in and out right now. Give it a sec.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it was like fading. So I think you're good now.
Okay. So, Astro Blasters is ass. It doesn't compare to what we have in Orlando, right? With Buzz Lightyear, the spin.
Yeah.
I think it was closer to the Boo Blasters that we had at Kings Island.
don't
like it's
dunk
that
on
bad.
Boo Blasters. Do not dunk on Boo Blasters.
No, it was that bad.
Kings Island, for the record, Kings Island's like they're redoing Boo Blasters.
Good.
That was They're getting 3 new coasters and they're redoing Boo Blasters. So
good. They deserve it. Boo Blasters was terrible.
It was air conditioned. What more do you want?
But I mean, Astro Blasters, I like that they got, it up to something else. I would love to see them put Marvel in the Tokyo in the Asian
So they're
parks.
we already kind of know they're doing a Wreck-It Ralph version of Astro Blasters, which kind of fits because it's going to be like at the start of Wreck-It Ralph when he jumps into the game with the blonde woman. I
Mhm.
don't remember what it's called. Where like he gets the medal and like there's all the bugs and it's like it's basically like the point of the movie is
Kind of
the
like,
bug gets out of the game. That game.
yeah,
Which would fit within Astro Blasters, Buzz Lightyear's whatever spin um type ride. But I know like your favorite ride is Buzz Lightyear, right? Or it's up there.
yeah. It's one of my must dos whenever we go.
But would you be opposed to changing it to a more modern take? Because I had this thought yesterday, and this was one of my zone outs as I was just thinking. This was train of consciousness, Ren. And I was looking at a box of Fruity Pebbles. Trust me, this is going somewhere. And on
Okay.
the box, on the box was Fred Flintstone, Barney Rubble, and Bam Bam. Okay, we know those characters, right? So I Googled it, and the Flintstones has not been a thing like officially on TV for a very long time, like very, very long time. Like not even reruns are on TV. At what point do new kids no longer recognize those as cartoon characters and instead recognize them as cereal mascots? And at what point did the Flintstones like deviate from their original timeline of cartoon characters? In that same vein, like obviously Toy Story 4 is not that old, and Toy Story, I'm not like Toy Story is way above the realm of the
Oh, they're
Flintstones. I'm
making
not
Toy Story
comparing them.
5 as well.
Why? It
They
ended
are.
perfectly. It
They're
ended
making a Toy Story 5.
perfectly.
So like it's still
Huh.
in the media enough that it will still be around. People will still
But
know Buzz Lightyear.
but at a certain point, when do you move on from the old? And obviously, like it's not that old. Like one of the things we're going to talk about is there's potential for a Lion King ride
So
finally after all these fucking years.
I think
Uh,
you move on from the old in every park but Magic Kingdom, right? Or the main line parks, right?
I guess.
We've seen it with Hollywood Studios, right? And we're kind of talking about Orlando here, but that's just because that's what we know, right? Great movie ride. It was old. It had a lot of old movies, so they decided to revitalize it, right, and change it into
Right.
this new Mickey and Minnie's,
Runaway
right?
Railroad.
Yeah, the Runaway Railroad. I think they're gonna start doing stuff like that and bring in new IPs to the other parks because there's still an expectation of what magic is supposed to be.
So this, I, I know we said we're starting with the international parks, but it all ties into it. Does it not feel like it's going to be a disappointment if not necessarily this D23, but maybe the next one? Like it's coming soon. Like there has to be a Tomorrowland refresh. Specifically because like Tomorrowland does not feel like the future anymore. Like and that's the whole point. Like obviously I don't think they're going to touch the people mover. I think they fucked that up enough times. They're
I
not
think
going to risk it.
I think Tomorrowland I think in the past Tomorrowland was what the future was supposed to be. I think now Tomorrowland is what the future was expected to be.
I
So like
guess, but like
they were looking forward, like we're supposed to have these rockets and all of this stuff because they had these big, great ideas, right? But now that we
right.
look, it's almost like nostalgic, like looking about like this is what people thought,
Look at
right?
how
This is
dumb they
what
were.
we expected. Well, are they dumb or are we just dumb for not being able to meet that standard?
In a lot of ways I feel like it like if you like go through the People Mover and Spaceship Earth, like there's a lot of things we surpassed for sure. But like there's just such a stark difference when you're looking at like the launch pad and then you turn and
Mm-hmm.
you look at Tron. Like
I mean, yes and no. I'm personally not a fan of Tron, and we can do like a whole another episode about ranking the rides because I don't like Tron.
really?
If it
Uh,
was gone, I would not be sad.
so I think that Tron, I think it's a ride that is significantly better at night than it is in the day. I think during the day it's
Yeah.
kind of generic roller coaster. Um, and not in a good way. Like it is
No. Yeah. It's.
there, but night, like the lights, like the grid lit up.
I'd
It's
rather do the teacups than ride Tron.
damn. That is a hot take. Um, honestly though, same. Like, uh,
It
I,
had such a big hype. It's so short. It's like 30 seconds.
yeah.
It's like launch, loop de loop, outside, you're done.
I think the appeal to it is the unique ride vehicle, but
Yeah, no, for sure.
back
But
to
like it's just
international parks before we get to, because we're going to spend a lot. I thought this was going to
this
be a
is
short
gonna be a
episode, but
longer
we are going to
episode.
spend
No,
a
this
long
is gonna be
time
a long
on Orlando.
episode.
So sorry,
We
what were
might
you
need
saying
to keep
before I
going.
segued hard?
Um, I mean, the biggest things that I've seen, like the rumors, there's not much for the international. I think the internationals kind of already had their day to shine, right? They just opened up a Zootopia land. They just opened up the Frozen land. I think the international parks are going to take a back seat in the next couple of years.
So the only reason I don't think so is like every D23 they have that big promo picture, um, like leading up to the segments, and the picture for the parks and recreation portion of D23, it has all the international parks on it. So it feels like there's going to be something big announced. I just don't necessarily know if it's anything that we necessarily care about.
I think it'll be a Marvel section. That's what I've kind of seen. Is it's going to be something Marvel, right? Marvel's going to try to push their ways into the parks to continue generating revenue even after their movies, if they continue to decline. Which, after
And
watching
also,
the newest Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't know if that they may have turned it around, but you can't really know right now.
the interesting thing is I feel like it wouldn't be that absurd to say like some of the things we're going to talk about for the Orlando and Anaheim parks are also going to be in those European and Asian parks as well.
Yeah, 'cause it's not the first
I
time they've done something like that.
Yeah. So like if they do, like I hinted that there was a Lion King ride potentially coming
Yeah.
finally. I wouldn't be surprised for that to be announced for one of the international parks, if not multiple of the international parks. I don't think we're
Mhm.
going to get another. I feel like the hype would be a lot higher if we were going to get an announcement of another park as a whole opening somewhere in the world, with the exception of spoiler later. Um, But in terms of like another European park, like I don't think one would happen. I don't think there would be another Asian park. I don't think there would like Saudi Arabia potentially could house a park, but it
But then
doesn't really
there's a
align
lot
with
of
Disney.
yeah, there's a lot being, teacher for a second. There's a lot of issues
Yeah.
in the Middle East right now.
Yeah.
Like, the ideals won't always match up, and I think that would be the biggest hindrance to a Disney park over
And
there.
God, we already know we don't want countries influencing our beloved Disney any more than they already do. I'm looking at you, China Pavilion. Um, so yeah, I don't think there's going to be any super major
No, I think they're
international
gonna
Disney.
let the continental U.S. parks kind of take the forefront
Now,
here.
in that vein, I wouldn't be surprised to see like European Disney cruises or Pan
No, yeah,
Asian Europe
I could
Disney
see them.
cruises.
Yeah, I could see them doing that for sure.
Um,
But like
but
brick
in
and
terms of
mortar
like, yeah,
Disney park, I don't see a lot of international activity here.
Disney cruises, I don't have any like comment on. I,
Yeah, I haven't been able to take one yet, unfortunately. It's on the goal.
I like I
Maybe
would
you'll come
love to.
with. Who knows?
Yeah, let's go. Fuck it, let's plan it. Um, so let's do. Do we want to talk? Do we want to get just into Orlando and just fuck Disneyland? We'll tack on Disneyland at the end because I
No,
think
let's just
Orlando.
do Disneyland.
Okay, so
Because we're
Disneyland.
gonna forget Disneyland if we don't do it now.
So Disneyland, the biggest one I've seen is there was that they got approved for zoning for like a huge chunk of land.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's the 70th anniversary this year or next year for Disneyland.
Yeah.
Big deal. Um, the big rumor is bringing Pandora to Disneyland. Do you think that's a good idea or not? Because there's a solid chance Flight of Passage is kept as park exclusive for Disney World, and I think it should be
So
because
I
like
think,
go ahead.
personally, I think it would be amazing. Like Florida is known for water, but so is California. Make it the water version of Pandora,
Interesting.
right? The Way of the Water park, just like the Way of the Water
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah,
came
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Make it a water themed,
Just
right?
do a completely different thing. Don't like port anything
Yeah, or maybe, maybe do a Flight of Passage, quote
with a
unquote,
different.
rework
Yeah.
with the water beasts.
Okay.
Something like that. Give it another aspect of the world. So you go to Florida, you see the above. You go to California, you see the below.
That could be interesting. Like reworked Flight of Passage so it's like a different experience because like let's be real. Like the first time you ride Flight of Passage, like it is life
It
changing.
can't be topped. Yeah,
It there you will forever be chasing the dragon that is the feeling of your first ride on that because you do not feel like you're on Earth. It is
yes.
listeners, if you have never like even if you don't like Disney, I am telling you, one time in your life, go buy a park ticket to Animal Kingdom, go ride Flight of Passage. Like just one time. Like just do that, leave the park. You hate
It's the
Disney, I get
gateway
it.
drug.
Go. It is you do not like it is not a ride. It literally feels like they have transported you somewhere else. It's
It's an
all done.
experience. It's
Yeah.
not a ride. It's an
I mean
experience.
it's a ride. Like it does
It's
the
not a ride.
dives.
It's an experience.
I mean, yeah, but it is a ride. like
No.
like you feel like you're on a banshee flying and like they mimic it so well. Like ride it. It is insane. But to have like, you know what? I'm all on board. You know what? Get me a petition. I'm signing it that they need to do a different Flight of Passage because that would be a way to experience Flight of Passage for the first time again.
Exactly.
I'm on board. I don't want to hear any other rumors about it.
Josh
I don't
tomorrow,
want.
hire me.
Yeah,
I'm here.
I don't want a new Navi River Journey. Even though the animatronics on Navi River Journey, I still say are among the best in Disney.
Oh yeah,
The
for sure.
the Frozen ride in Epcot, like it has great animatronics. But the Navi River, like
No, the Frozen ride in, I think it was Hong Kong, has
oh yeah,
insane
the
animatronics.
animatronics in Disney Sea is insane. Like they do it so well, and I hope they bring that more because like we haven't had new dark rides in Disney America for a while. Like we've had Remy's, and like the Star Wars Land. But like in general, there haven't been a lot of new dark rides, and I really hope like as we go through this refresh, because it feels like Disney is doing a very slow 10-year refresh. I think that's the whole idea behind this. Because you go back to 2019 D23, and
Mhm.
all of those plans just got put on the back burner because COVID.
Yes.
And I
And
think
Tron taking 7 years to build was
yeah.
what it felt like.
And I feel like we're going to start to see more of that kind of come to fruition. And again, we'll get into a lot of that as we get into
Yeah. And I have some
Magic Kingdom.
opinions on like Orlando and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you're going to have stronger opinions on Orlando than I do because you live there and you go to Disney
At least
multiple
probably
times a
once a
month.
month. Yeah.
And fuck you for that. But I do think that Avatar for sure, if not Avatar Land as a whole, like they will get an attraction of some kind just because it is such a draw to the Magic Kingdom. Or I just kind of consider all of Disney World Magic Kingdom. Pardon me. To Disney World. Besides that, I really can't think of anything that they could put there that they don't already have, unless they do a new IP, which is completely possible. Or, I don't know. Like, a lot of the things that I think they could do, I think are going to go into Disney World before they go into Disneyland, because love it or hate it, Disney World is the golden child of Disney now because it's bigger and they have infinite space to do infinite amounts of things. Like,
Yeah, like it's like people don't realize the amount of space Disney still has undeveloped.
yeah. And
Like there's like I feel like thousands of acres
and
undeveloped.
and this is going to come up in a minute when we get to um Orlando.
I
But
think we should just get through Disneyland so we can talk about Orlando, Ren.
I'm getting through Disneyland. That it's relevant. So the Disneyland expansion is like $1.9 million for a whole new area, right?
1.9 million? You mean billion?
Billion. 1.9 billion. 1.9 million
like,
would be a single.
That's itty bitty.
Sorry, I closed it and I don't know where that went. Like the funds for the Disneyland expansion.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but compared to what we're about to talk about, it's nothing.
It's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money. 70th anniversary.
Yep. I mean,
they're going to bring back Paint the Night. They're going to bring back Paint the Night. They have to. And for the record,
some time of night show to come back.
I expect Paint the Night, and it's my favorite night parade, and I want it everywhere. What was the? I think Disney Paris was the last one to do it. The Electric Night show, like where they had all the like lights all over them.
Yeah, I think that's Paris. I think they're the last ones to have it.
That's something like I want to come back because it's probably my favorite parade.
Night parades were so great.
Yeah, and they still like they're about to start doing the Halloween parade that starts tomorrow. We're recording this on the 8th. I think Not So Scary starts on the 9th. Our listeners are realizing right now like how much of fucking nerds we are, and I love it. To be fair, Austin lives there. Yes. I don't have an excuse, but like Austin grew up around this shit, so he has an excuse. I've
always been an hour from Disney at any moment in time.
It's just my favorite place to go, and like I said, the movies as a kid got me through a lot of shit. The movies as an adult have got me through a lot of shit.
7th anniversary we talked about.
Right.
The other elephant in the room, Tiana's.
Yep.
It's coming, right?
Right.
I expect them to release the opening date at D23.
Right.
I will say, I have been on Tiana's. I got the pass holder preview.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather Splash Mountain.
Right. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, it feels like they're kind of just modernizing, right? They're changing everything to modernize.
I think there was a legit possibility for it to be great. I think they tried too hard and too fast to turn it around.
And I don't, like, the animatronics are amazing. Like, all the
animatronics are amazing, everything. But the problem is the animatronics aren't everywhere. There's a lot of dead space and darkness. Like, it feels like you're in this magical bayou, and then you're just floating through the water. And then a magical bayou, and then floating through the water.
And, like, I get that it's, like, after the movie, but, like, that you don't have Rey in it. Like, Rey is such a memorable character from Princess and the Frog that, like...
Yeah. I will say he's kind of in it. There is, like, the secondary star. But that's really
with,
His name like Cher or something? No.
What? No, God, no. It's, It's like a long name. Like, I want to say Josephine, but I know that's wrong.
Rey's girlfriend, Princess and the Frog. Evangeline.
I knew it was an E.
Star. Yeah.
But, like, I agree, it feels like they forced it to be like, oh, it's Tiana's restaurant. And, like, when you're going around that first bend and it's, like, Tiana's Foods and it's, like, all the signs are everywhere. It's, like, it's so fucking forced that it
I will say the
detracts from it.
Is really good until you get to the ride vehicles.
And, you know, maybe they'll learn, like, from Tiana's Bayou Adventure and Magic Kingdom
for new
for
things.
Disneyland. Because
Yeah.
sometimes like that's how it happens. Like Disneyland kind of gets a better version of a ride, and then
Yeah.
Disney World gets it a few years later when they do a little bit of a remodel.
Yeah.
Because Disney World's kind of the test park at this point.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
fine, with the exception of things like Remy's. Like that was Disney Paris all the way, and that isn't a fantastic ride.
It's terrible.
Um,
It's
is that
terrible because it's 3D. When it becomes 2D like they're doing in Paris, it will be chef's kiss. Hot takes.
yeah? 3D rides are kind of bad.
They're outdated. You
They're
know,
outdated.
they're really great, and then
They were really
it
cool
can't
when they
keep up.
started,
Yeah.
and then like suddenly, it's like if you do like bad CGI, like Attack of the Clones. Like if you watch that in theaters, it was amazing. You watch it now, and
Yeah.
you're like, ugh.
Yeah. 100%.
Only the Lord of the Rings movies CGI held up really well.
Yeah.
I will say.
So one other thing with Tiana's, it's kind of like Tiana's. So you know that Country Bear Jamboree got reworked, right?
Yeah, didn't it just reopen?
It just reopened down here. It hasn't reopened yet for Disneyland. I didn't know this, but apparently there's a Country Bear Jamboree restaurant.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I don't know if it's new or if they're just redoing it, but I'm really mad I didn't know about it when I was in Disneyland if it was there. Because I 100% would have gone to that.
Have you gone to the new show? Because is it more than just the new costumes? Because I saw the new costumes, but
I
I
haven't gone
obviously
yet. We haven't been to Magic since then. So we're probably going to look at going this weekend.
Yeah, you told me. Fuck you. Sorry, my freaking computer's acting up.
I can take over if you need me to.
You talk for a second while I
Okay.
sort this out.
So the next thing that is kind of expected to be announced, or people want to be announced, is a Marvel e-ticket. Right? They want a big Marvel ride to come to Disneyland. And I will say it definitely needs it. Right? We went to the Marvel Avengers campus. It was great. But really outside of Spider-Man and the character interactions, there's not really much to do. It's like kind of a blink and you miss it type deal.
Are you talking about to Disney World?
Disneyland.
Don't they have? They've got the web swingers. They've got.
That's what I'm saying. They have the web slingers. That's all they have.
Don't they have
The Iron Man coaster is international.
And is the Tower of Terror the revamp only in Disney World?
Well, no, it's actually Tower of Terror is still down here. The Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Escape, Mission Breakout, whatever. It's great, but it's really just Tower of Terror but Guardians. Like I'm talking about like a show-stopping ride, like Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind. Right? I don't think you've been on that yet.
I have not.
When you do, you'll move to Florida. Like it's
that
good
that
of a ride.
good?
It's that good.
Does it have the multiple endings? I've heard that, but I've not
No.
actually watched.
It has multiple songs, same ending.
Okay, so kind of like Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what?
Okay,
You should just come down one day. We'll just record an episode in Disney.
That's fine. We'll do that. I'm totally on board. I'll justify it in the expense funds.
The other things that there might be, are you good with the Marvel e-ticket?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that I think Marvel is more necessary in the parks, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. There's a chance of a Tomorrowland remake, right? I think we already talked about that a little bit.
I think that it just needs an overall refresh, and Marvel would be a great idea.
Yeah. Just try to introduce a little bit of Marvel into that.
Give me a Stark Tower in Tomorrowland all day.
I'm sold.
I'm sold. I'm in.
With an Iron Man themed ride, I'm down.
You know what they sell in the restaurant? Shawarma.
You know what'd be great?
What?
An Iron Man ride facing Doctor Doom.
Oh, that would be cool. Or like a Iron Man coaster, like one of those lying down coasters.
Mm-hmm. That would be cool.
Sign me up for Imagineering.
The other thing that they think will happen is an Arendelle
Of
in
course.
Disneyland, part of
That
that
feels,
Disneyland Forward initiative.
which again, the Disneyland Forward is only $1.9 billion. But Arendelle as a whole feels like it's underrepresented. And I say that as someone that is not a fan of Frozen. I think it's an
But
okay
you can't
movie.
deny.
You can't deny its impact. Like, Let It
Yeah,
Go was everywhere.
yeah. You know.
And I feel like it's underrepresented. Like, obviously, Epcot has Norway.
Yeah.
And then I think Disney Paris, one of the Disney internationals has like an Arendelle.
Tokyo Disney Sea.
Yeah. And like it looks amazing, but
Yeah,
like
it's insane.
in terms of the states, like it feels underrepresented because again, the only place you see it is the Norway pavilion.
Yeah.
And again,
And
we
that
will
is
get into that.
nothing compared to nothing compared to what it is overseas.
Yeah. And again, it's arguably, whether you like it or not, probably the biggest Disney movie of the last 20 years.
Yeah. But and then I mean there's some small things, like some people think California Adventure will change its name.
I could see that.
Some people think there might be a fourth hotel opening up.
That needs to happen.
Yeah. And then some people want the Country Bear Jamboree to take over Winnie the Pooh. And I say no.
Isn't that what it used to be?
I think so, yeah.
Because that's like, what was Test Track before it was Test Track? It was way before our time, but
World of Motion.
World of Motion. Like,
I hate that I know that.
because Test Track 3.0 is about to launch, and like,
Well, yeah,
part of
it just closed
well,
2 months ago.
when
A
I
month
say
ago.
about to, I'm like talking in theme park time.
Okay. Yes. And it's about to release.
And like, it feels like they should do something like World of Motion because nostalgia sells. And like, again, while that's before our time, people like nostalgia. And if you bring back something World of Motion as Test Track, that's not a bad idea for theming. And like, really, I
And
think
it's
Epcot
hinting
could,
at both.
yeah. And I think Epcot as a whole it could bank on some of the nostalgia factor because let's be real, Epcot's the most boring of the parks.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Animal Kingdom would be there if it didn't have Pandora.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Animal
Although
Kingdom
oddly
has,
enough, Epcot is probably where I've spent most of my time this year.
I mean, there's like the food. If you're there for food, like if you live
Yeah,
nearby,
we do use an app, and we look at the menu. We usually have a routine where as we're driving to the park, we look at all the menus, we find out what we want to eat, and then we go there and eat it.
okay.
Right.
So let's real quick, just little break from the nerd stuff. Favorite restaurant in the entirety of the Disney property in Orlando.
So we're actually going through and eating at every restaurant.
Okay.
We've done all of Magic. We've
Okay.
done. We have like one more in Hollywood, and then we have to do Epcot and Animal. Right
Well, you've done
now,
every in Magic Kingdom.
everyone in Magic Kingdom.
You
Yep.
did Cinderella's.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
We did it for our anniversary.
That's fair.
Yep.
Was it worth it?
Yes and no. It was worth it to make you
The
feel
memory.
special when you're in there.
Yeah.
Right? Would I go back? Probably not.
So the food wasn't worth it. The environment was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will say the food is a little elevated. I am not from any rich background whatsoever. So I lose some of the appeal to stuff like that. But it was cool just to be there. And this was COVID time. So unfortunately we couldn't walk around.
Right.
Right? It was very much sit in your chairs. You don't move until you leave. And if the princesses come out, you have to sit in your chair and you can't go to the bathroom until they're done.
Okay. So let me ask this then. And the fans of ours or the listeners of ours that are
still here.
still here, and also like they've been to Disney or whatever.
Mhm.
Would you say you preferred, like, ignoring cost, Be Our
Mhm.
Guest or Cinderella's Royal Table? Because
Cinderella's.
okay, because I've been to Be Our Guest and I
BR's
fucking
Guest, in
loved
my
it.
opinion, is the worst restaurant in Animal Kingdom or in Magic
Really?
Kingdom.
Did
I
you
just
get
don't
the
like it.
French onion soup?
I don't. I did. I tried it. I'm not a huge fan,
So good.
and I think my biggest issue is it's not as
For
themed as the others.
what?
Right? If you get sat, hold on. If you get sat in one of the wings, it feels like a true experience. If you get sat in the main ballroom, where it's just a line and line and line of tables, it's underwhelming. If you're
Interesting.
in the, if you're in the bedroom where it changes, it's all nice and happy, and then it looks like after the beast attacked,
Yeah,
right? That's really cool. But when you're in the middle, it's so boring
but
and
it's
it's super
still
crammed.
like looking around, like it's literally like the ballroom from the movie. like
It is. But like if
like
you
as
were
a
asking me to
kid,
do that or what's the other one? Like
or
Diamond
Cinderella's
Horseshoe.
Royal Temple. Oh,
Well, I was like, I'm going like Diamond Horseshoe. I'd rather do. But like, let's do Cinderella's. I would rather sit there. It's a lot more private, right? There's not a lot of people up there. You can kind of see over the park, and I just feel like it's a more private and special experience as opposed to just sitting in a ballroom with 300 other
bench
people right
seats.
next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Would
it
you rather sit in a box to a bad game, or would you rather sit in the, nosebleeds of a better game? To me, I'd rather sit in a box to a bad game.
that's fair. Um, Mine is unfortunately a quick service stop, and it is Casey's Corner. I will,
Oh, corn dog nuggets all the way.
I will
We
do.
started getting queso with them.
Oh, it's
So
plastic cheese. Like you don't. There's no option. It is plastic cheese.
yeah,
Fuck. Like queso sounds delicious, but fuck that. It's
we get
plastic cheese.
sometimes we'll get the Pecco Bills, and then we started getting. They redid the plastic
Pickle
cheese
Bills.
at Casey's. It is amazing.
Pecos Bills is like after COVID, it got bad.
Yeah, I think it'll eventually turn into a Tiana's restaurant
Probably, and that's sad because it's
or into like
basically
an
like Chipotle in
entire
the park.
Pirates of the Caribbean, which would be cool.
Well, because fuck it, we're going to Magic. We're going to Orlando now because we're
We're done
done.
with. I finished it.
Um,
I said like what could be.
because like there was zoning for a pirates tavern besides Tortuga Tavern.
So it's still going to open up. If I remember correctly, they're getting rid
No,
of.
they are, but there's a second one that was filed.
I don't think there was a second one.
There was. It's not like in any of the rumors for D23, and I don't think that's something that they're going to talk about at D23. But there's not a tavern because there's
The
Tortuga
lounge.
Tavern, the lounge. Yeah. Do you have that,
Huh?
Austin? Do you have that pulled up?
Kind of.
Because
I'm kind of
like
going through
that's
it now.
yeah. Like I don't know if that would necessarily be at Pecos Bills because Pecos Bills is kind of out of the way for Adventureland. Um, unless you were to like they could shift the building. It's Disney. They have infinite money. Pretty much.
I know they're bringing back the Barker Bird that used to be in Pirates of the Caribbean ride before the Jack Sparrow rework.
Yeah.
So they're putting it. Sorry, I'm reading. Where is it?
Angelo's gonna look at this because he's refusing to edit this one and be like, "Oh, they weren't talking here." Like,
I
maybe
know.
there's a reason.
Well, you can fill the time. Let's go do that.
Well, because like I don't want to like change the subject while we're researching.
So it's pretty much gonna go in between Tortuga Tavern, the gift shop, and Pecos Bell. It's gonna be in that general area. I think
So
they're
it
gonna
could
take part of the gift shop out.
really.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the gift shop's not really used. There's a lot of dead space with like the jeweler, like the jeweler carts and stuff.
Yeah.
I could see them just kind of renovating that.
Hmm. I don't know. Maybe we'll get a half and half, but it's gonna be weird because Pecosville, like, there's not really anything similar in the Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So if they change it, like the menu, which I'd assume they would with theming changes, um,
Yeah.
like you wouldn't be able to get Mexican anywhere in the Magic Kingdom unless I'm like forgetting something. But off the top of my head, no.
No.
But I mean, to be fair, you can't get like Asian. I mean, you can get
But
the
but
cheeseburger egg
but
rolls, but
but and we can kind of go into it if you want,
okay,
the
the
expansion.
tropical, yeah. So, do we want to start with that, or do we want to start with my off the wall theory?
Awesome, shoot it down.
Okay, so last year, again, what's important to remember is that the Disneyland Forward program, where they're adding a whole new area to Disneyland in that little tiny strip that they have in the middle of Anaheim, cost $1.9 billion. Disney is investing $17 billion in Florida. That's more than just what we're going to talk about in a few, which is Beyond Thunder Mountain, right? With Universal revealing Epic Universe, there is an arms race in Florida right now, and obviously Universal doesn't compare to Disney unless you're a thrill seeker. Disney got approval from Florida from a DeSantis appointee to have up to 5 full-sized theme parks, 5 mini theme parks, like 170,000 square feet of additional office space. Like, those parts don't matter. The part that matters is the fact that they were approved and zoned for an additional theme park in Florida. With Epic Universe and the hype surrounding it, I'm not saying in the next like 5 years. I'm saying at D23, would it be that crazy? And you're gonna shoot it down for them to say we have plans for an additional park in Florida. Not in like the immediate like they're not like, oh, we're gonna launch it in 2026. I'm saying like for them to come out and be like, we have plans for expansion of another park.
So I don't think they do it. And the sole reason that they don't do it is it's not going to happen soon. All of the people are going to be like, why the hell not? Epic Universe was only announced a couple years ago, and the thing's going live really, really soon. Right? Like, I don't know if you've seen like I get like updates on like the building, right? It was just dirt like 2 years ago, and it
Oh
is
no,
now like feels like it's almost done,
yeah, no, they're putting it up really quick.
right? I think if Disney tries to do that and be like, yeah, we're gonna build a park, but it's 10 years down the line.
I mean, it doesn't have to be 10 years down the line. I'm just saying.
But like, I'm just like, if they do, they need to have a quick turnaround. Otherwise, everyone's gonna be like, why the hell can Universal build a brand new park with all of these new features and new developments, and Disney can't do it in the same time? I think Disney's going to wait until the lust, the shimmer of Epic Universe wears off, so that when some people are just starting to look for a new park, they're going to come in hard and build one quick. So I think Disney's going to live with Epic Universe being the forefront in people's minds and do all this other stuff to improve their parks. And then they're going to make this drastic announcement. And it's going to be like, in 4 years, there'll be a brand new park that's the biggest in Florida.
So, I actually have the numbers here for what they were approved for, just to like put into prospect what they were asking for. They are option to expand hotel room capacity by more than 30%, 53,000 additional hotel occupancy, and retail and restaurant space by 20%.
Mm-hmm.
Does that not sound like another theme park?
No.
No?
No. Like I said, is there a limit to that approval? Does it have to be all this stuff must be completed?
not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
So, like, I still think there will be a fifth park. I think it'll be in 10 years. 10, maybe 15 years. Maybe not 10, maybe not 15. 15 seems really far
15's
away.
way too far.
Yeah, I would say maybe 10 years. In 10
because
years, we'll probably have an announcement of a new park.
Because the last park to open was Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios? Animal Kingdom was 99?
I'm looking it up real quick.
Last Magic Kingdom Park. No, Magic Kingdom. I keep typing Magic Kingdom. Last Orlando Disney Park.
Why won't it give me the answer? What is so hard? Why give me an easy answer for this?
Hold on, Disney World opening dates. Magic Kingdom,
Animal Kingdom
Epcot.
was 98.
Okay. So
Animal Kingdom, yeah.
Prior to that was Hollywood Studios, 89. Prior to that was Epcot, 82. Prior to that was Magic Kingdom, 71. So there's been so much time. At a certain point, like, obviously, Animal Kingdom, like, you go to Animal Kingdom, it does not feel dated.
Not as bad as you would expect.
Not as bad as you would expect, given that time frame.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, like, you can add new rides, but what are you doing to bring back the long-term Disney fanatics? Because obviously, like, people like you and me, we're gonna go no matter what.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It will happen in 10 years. There's no denying that. I just don't think it's going to happen like in the next I don't see an announcement in the next year or two. I think they're going to let Epic Universe open. Everyone's going to rush there and they'll be looking for the next high of, oh my God, it's brand new. And then Disney's going to come in.
I just feel like Disney has to respond in some way.
I think their response is these expansions.
I guess
because Disney knows they have to respond, but they don't have to respond in the same caliber.
But is that not the Disney thing to do? Is not like, oh, here's just new things on our existing parks. Is it not Disney to be like, all right, we're just going to bury you and build a $20 billion park right down the road? Because, like, with Robert Iger taking over, because Robert Iger has always been park focused.
Yes. But he's not going to be around forever.
He's not going to be around for very long at all, but his whole job is in being put back in that role.
Screw it. Make Josh DeMario the CEO.
I wouldn't hate it. I don't hate Robert Iger. Like, I know a lot of people are, like, very hesitant with him, but, like, I think he's done a great job.
I think people are hesitant because they look at what Bob Chapek, what was his name?
Yeah. Who cares?
I think whatever his name was. I think they look at Chapek. I think they looked at what he did and blame Iger for it.
Well, Iger also did make some questionable decisions.
Yes, but the questionable was outweighed by the good.
True.
And the former CEOs, because I can't remember his name already, the questionable outweighed the good.
Yeah. And he was too focused on Disney Plus, and
yeah, he was too focused on the streaming, and it bit them in the butt.
It backfired. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were hemorrhaging money. I think Robert Iger will right the ship. I just think that
it's going to take a while.
I think it's going to take a
And
while, and
that's
I
why
think
I
they're
don't think they're gonna have a new. They're not gonna be able to make a new park because they're so worried about this digital side of things that they have to navigate through. You know, they have Hulu. I just saw that they're doing a Disney Plus Hulu Max bundle now. Right? Like they're gonna have to find ways to fix the streaming to be able to support the park, a new park,
well.
without compromising other areas.
Let's get into like the more grounded in reality rooms. Go ahead with one.
So the first one I see, we talked about a little bit. New nighttime parade.
For sure. Like if they're gonna
This
do
is a
one
must.
in Magic, they have to, or in Disneyland, they have to.
It's a must. Right? It's been too long. I want my light up floats. I want my light up dragon. If you're not going to give it back to me the way that it was, give me a resemblance of it. Right? I still have a fond memory of being in the park late at night and seeing all of the light up floats.
No, they're. I think Disney night parades. I think Disney night shows are so much better than anything else in the park.
And because
like,
it's cooler, it allows them to do more too.
Yeah, and it's more thrilling. Like during the day, you're just like, okay, you're blocking my way of crossing the street to go get water. Get the hell out of my way. At night, like, and I don't know, like Happily Ever After is always going to be like my defining moment for Disney, and I don't care. Like, you can like other fireworks shows, there's nothing that's ever going to compare to Happily Ever After for me. And Jordan Fisher is a national treasure. But for a new night show or a new night parade, like I think it would kind of tie into what we're going to talk about shortly with Thunder Mountain. I think it wouldn't be as crazy to do like the daytimes, the Mickey cavalcade with like all the good characters and yay happy sun, yay shine, and then at night to kind of lean into that new expansion if it is what we assume it's going to be. Go a little edgier, do the villains. Like we do it during Halloween, but have the villains have a parade at night to kind of build that hype. And maybe you don't do it forever and you bring back like the fun light up shows later.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be that apropos to say a villain parade at night for the foreseeable future while we get into Beyond Thunder Mountain, if it is what we assume it's going to be. That would be kind of cool because it gives a chance to see those characters we don't see all the time. Because as of right now, the only time you see like the Sanderson sisters is Halloween. Yeah. The only time you see the evil stepsisters is if the park is flooded and they are trying to pull people away for autographs.
For sure.
And like there's a lot of those like villain characters that really only get pulled out during those busy park times. Like sometimes when you're looking at the My Disney Experience app, like just go to like the characters that are signing autographs like right now, and like you can tell how busy the park is based on who's at the bottom of that list, and it's kind of fun. I dropped my mic. Hello, I'm back. I dropped my mic. That probably sounded terrible. I apologize. What's next? Because we'll save Beyond Thunder Mountain for the end.
Okay. So not necessarily park, but park adjacent.
DVC.
There is talks about a new DVC resort.
They have to.
You know, they talked about it. They are expanding DVC, right? They're finishing the one in Polynesian. You know, they just revamped the Bay Lake Towers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're really leaning into the DVC, which, you know, as a DVC member, I love. But I think they're going to bring back. It's rumored that they're going to bring some form of the Reflections Resort, which was like a lakeside resort. I could see them dusting that off and bringing that back. And it's near the Wilderness Lodge, is what they're expecting.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like empty space over there.
Yeah, for sure. And it'd be nice if it's on the Wilderness Lodge. That would be another resort on the lake, which means there'd be another form of transportation to get people out of the park. So they wouldn't be reliant on the ferry boat or the monorail. They could take these small boats back to their resort,
Hmm.
which I think would help overall to get people out.
I think the cabins at Wilderness Lodge, like that's something I want to do, like soon.
Yeah.
It just looks fun. Like all the like walking involved looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're walking before you get to the park. Fantastic. What's next?
Well, we talked about a little bit Test Track 3.0,
All right.
right? They're going to have hints to World of Motion. Epcot went through this really weird phase where it was all about like the world of this, the world of this, the land, the sea, da da da
Yeah.
da. And then they went away from it. And then they kind of realized that was a bad idea.
Yeah,
So
because
they're
people
kind of
loved
coming
it.
back to it. So like there's the land, there's now the sea with Finding Nemo and the Moana, water adventure. You know, they're gonna start. I think they're gonna start bringing back retro Epcot with a modern spin.
With Epcot, do you think we're at the end of Soren's lifespan because it is one of the more dated rides?
Um,
Like for a moderate thrill ride, it is kind of boring at this point. Amazing your first ride.
I think there's two aspects to it. I think living with the land they'll never get rid of.
No, it's
Right?
it's
That's
and it's tied to
so
a
core.
restaurant that makes them money
Yeah,
hand over
it's so
fist.
core to it. Yeah, I could see them revamping Soren. Like I don't like Soren, but I don't like it because it's the same thing.
So, but like my
I would
thing
love it to
is
be multiple destinations.
maybe, but like my
One
thing,
time you're going through like the Arctic, you're going all around, and then you go to like the tropical. Like see the different lands of Earth, not just like, the cities. And I know it already kind of does that, but there has to be a mix. If you ride Soren once, like you've read it 1,000 times at the same time.
but like Soren is basically to a certain extent, it is Flight of Passage 1.0.
Yeah. No, for
And
sure.
like Flight of Passage is so fucking good that Soren at this point just feels dated and you could do so much more with that. Like
But
obviously it's
what
a
could
small
you do
building.
with it? It has to be in the land.
Listen. I'm not an Imagineer. I don't get paid to come up with
You
that. I'm
just
just
asked to be
saying.
an Imagineer, dude.
And they haven't returned my calls yet, Austin. Um, on based on the land. So think of where Soren is. So you could even maintain the same kind of ride vehicle, the same premise of the ride,
Mm-hmm.
and revamp it so it doesn't feel dated, because that's my problem is it feels like you're watching a screen sitting on a couch. Whereas when you're on Flight of Passage, like your ride vehicle is breathing underneath you.
Spoilers, dude.
If you haven't ridden Flight of Passage yet, you're
I know.
go
I
ride
mean,
it.
they need to do something, right? Whether they change up the screen, whether they change up the ride vehicles, it needs a major overhaul.
Because I think Disney fans are really bad about we can't change that, it's tradition. And like
Yes.
in general, I agree. Like there's certain things like that should never change. Like It's a Small World should never change. Haunted Mansion should never change. Soren probably should change. Even if just a little bit. Like just update it.
Yeah.
Like there's a charm to those dark rides that you are accepting of the fact that Candace in the Haunted Mansion doesn't look scary. Like it's part of it. Soren sells itself as kind of a VR experience. And speaking of VR, this is irrelevant. This isn't necessarily part of D23, or at least not my expectations for D23. But we're in Orlando now, so I'm going tangent. We're changing the subject off of Soren. The Galactic Star Cruiser, the failed Star Wars hotel, where like you got on it and you spent 2 days on it, and it was supposed to be like you were on a galactic voyage, right? They have maintained that building. And you're probably wondering where the hell are you going with this, because we're talking about VR. What do you think their plans are for that? Because do you remember, I think it was called The Void. It was in, I think, Disney Springs, but I could be wrong about that. My time in Florida is often a blur of alcohol and sun poisoning. Where it was like a VR game where you like ran around the room and like you were like shooting people and stuff. And it
Disney
was Star
Quest.
Wars theme.
Oh, and it had to have been in Disney Quest.
I think it was Disney Quest.
Which rest in peace, Disney Quest was
Right.
was great.
COVID ruined it. But do
No,
you think
it was gone before COVID.
Was it? I thought it was gone because
NBA
of COVID.
Experience got killed by COVID.
But do you think they could potentially, like, that could be their plan for the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel, because they have that building, is to go back to kind of a Disney Quest or the Void? I swore it was called the Void.
If they do, I will move to Orlando.
Where like you're breaching the ship or whatever, and like
Yes.
doing a VR experience. Like, again, hire me as an Imagineer. This is a great idea.
So I think they could almost make it. So you know how Downtown Disney and Disneyland is outside of the parks, but it's connected, like it's like a main channel. Did you know that?
Yes.
So I would love for them to almost take Galactic Star Cruiser, make it almost like an intergalactic like shopping center almost.
That could
Right?
be
Make
interesting.
it like a trading port.
It's like a giant mall. The only problem is
Kind of like a
run out of
giant mall.
you'd run out of merch so quick though. Because
But
that building is huge.
it is huge, but you could have restaurants,
Yeah, it's true.
right? You could have all of these things. It's very, very clear Disney will not let Star Wars die, right?
Right. No, they spent too much money on it.
Right? Let them experience, let there be a clone restaurant. If there's a clone restaurant, I am 100% down. Where you only hire twins.
That'd be interesting.
The way all the waiters are twins or triplets. That's probably a little bit of discrimination, I feel like.
That's something Disney would do, though.
But you know what I mean? Like, find like a clone restaurant, and then down the hall have a Sith restaurant. Where
Just
it's
go
like
full in.
it's like the themed. The clones are very like do. You got to get it done. The Sith are like, hey, screw you, you stupid idiot.
Smack you at your table. I like it.
Exactly. Kind of how Whispering Canyon is.
Or Dick's Last Resort. Like they're just insulting you the whole time.
Turn it into something like that.
I
Where
don't
you
know.
can kind of go through the Star Wars ages in different stores and restaurants. And yes, it's a big money grab, but you're going to turn the building into something as opposed to sitting empty.
We'll see. Like Disney also, like, let's be real, they are perfectly adamant to leave a building they own completely empty. Because like Pop Century, like the Millennium Bridge or the Decade Bridge, whatever it's called, across the way, there's just all those empty hotels that they've never done anything with.
Yeah.
Like Disney's perfectly at it. Like they're happy to just leave a
They
building
have a
empty.
whole theme park technically empty.
Yeah,
the
the
old River
abandoned
Country.
parks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good lord, this is going longer than I thought it was going to.
It's going exactly how I expected it to go.
What's next?
So the other thing that they're looking at, I'll do this before we go back to like the expansion parks.
Right.
People are saying Hollywood studios should have a entertainment overhaul.
Oh, for sure.
Fantasmic, do not touch. I will murder you.
Yeah.
Do not touch Fantasmic.
Everything else should change.
Everything else should change.
Like, realistically, at this point, you go to Hollywood Studios for Star Wars and Toy Story.
Yes. And
Yeah.
being a Hollywood MGM park, it needs to be about the IPs, the movies,
Yeah.
right? That's what
Like,
the
but
park was made for. It was made for the IPs.
the problem is, like, like, Pandora realistically should have been at Hollywood Studios.
Yes. But they got away with it because of the animalistic,
So, do you put Arendelle there?
at Hollywood.
Yeah.
No, it's fantasy. I would prefer that to be, if it goes anywhere, magic.
Okay, Avengers Campus. Do you put that at Hollywood?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so we solved it. Hire us as Imagineers. Jesus Christ, just do it already.
No, but I know they are finally. My wife is happy about this because she loves The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid show in Hollywood is reopening.
Okay, that's good.
It's reopening in the fall. It's a new show. It's going to be revamped. There's still going to be the classic songs from the original movie. It's going to be based on the original movie. All of that is going to come out. They need to redo. They need to scrap whatever night show they try to do at Hollywood. And they need to go to Star Wars Land and do a drone show back there.
Yeah.
If Fantasmic is facing north, have the drone show to the south.
Yeah,
so that it doesn't interrupt.
I think I've watched the movie nighttime show one time, and then I've left the park every time it starts.
Yeah, it's
the most forgettable.
They try
of all
to
of them.
do something for people that don't either want to sit down for Fantasmic, or B, don't
Don't get a good seat.
Fantasmic. But if you don't like Fantasmic, I don't want you in the park anyways.
Yeah,
because you need something else there.
I just think that whole, the whole Hollywood part of the park needs revamped.
Yes.
Again, one of my returning themes every year when we get to D23 is that it's dated. It's time to adjust the parks to the modern time. And again, Tomorrowland needs a refresh. I don't care what anyone says. It feels old. The only thing that I think fits is Space Mountain, and even then, if you were to tell me we're changing it, go for it.
With Hollywood, Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, for sure. It needs Aerosmith. Who?
Iron Man.
Ooh.
Make it. I mean, Rock and Roller Coaster in Paris turned into Iron Man. Make it Iron Man. Expand behind the Rock and Roller Coaster area. Get rid of the Cars ride. It's amazing. If you haven't done the Cars experience, do it. It's great. Make that Avengers Campus 2.0. The only problem is the stupid Universal Studios.
Yeah. Because they have the rights to...
They have the rights to everything
superhero.
to the east of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
So, they have... it may not be Iron Man. They could do something else.
It's Disney. They can throw enough money at it.
They could. But, I mean, they just can't use, the Avengers. If they expand the Marvel Universe to, X-Men, they might be able to get X-Men in there.
Oh, I don't know about
I know,
that, Chief.
it's not the greatest, but you could make it a Fantastic Four.
Because, now that you've said that, I'm just imagining the Rock and Roll, or the Aerosmith coaster, change to, songs from the MCU. Not even just an Iron Man coaster, but, the Immigrant Song from Thor Ragnarok, that playing while you're that would be kind of insane. And you could do that throughout the entirety of the MCU.
Yeah.
That's
what could happen.
I sign off on it. I agree.
Are you good to move on to the expansions?
Yep. This is either where we're going to spend the least amount of time or the most amount of time.
Which says something. So let's do Tropical Americas first.
Let's do Beyond Thunder Mountain first, because I feel like that one's more set in stone. We really do genuinely think we know what that is.
Okay.
Whereas Tropical Americas, I have a thought and you're
Okay.
going to kill me.
Oh god.
So Beyond Thunder Mountain, go.
Okay. Beyond Thunder Mountain. I think it should be villains.
That's what we
And I
feel
know
like it's
that's like
going to be.
that's what we feel like it's gonna be, but it needs to be. Make it villains. That way you go through Fantasyland, you see all the happy, the smiling, the
And then you
princesses,
see the
all
dark
of the
side, you
good
see
stuff.
reality.
And then you walk past Adventureland, right? The frontier was gross, nasty. That's how I'm selling it. And then you go into the spookiness, right? It feels like it might be a little bit of a copy of Epic Universe's Monsterland, which may be why they don't do it. But we need a villains. If you give me an Oogie Boogie ride, I will be in the park every day of my life.
Angelo's
Right?
in shambles if he's listening to this while editing.
Right? You need a villains. You need it.
And I just think that you need that draw because, again, like we were talking about earlier,
Make
with
it
a
more of an
villains
adult,
parade.
not
Yeah,
an
make it.
adult park, not making an adult section, but geared towards the teen/adult,
Yeah,
not
edgy.
the kid. Yeah, because Disney has to realize it gets money from two demographics right now: children and Disney adults in their 20s and 30s. Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately for that family, they're both. They are Disney adults 20 and 30s with kids. It's like they need to appeal to the demographic that makes them money on the other end. Because when those kids that have been in Disney grow up, guess what? They're still
Now they're the Disney 20 and 30-year-old adults.
exactly. And then we have the 30 and 40-year-olds. You know, like there's a chance to continually have a tap in the older groups if you build a villain's land. That's edgy, maybe a little spooky for kids, but still bearable.
Yeah.
Right?
And that kind of ties in, like, if you're going to do, because I don't know where it's been hinted at, but we've referenced it a few times where there's potentially finally going to be a Lion King ride. Like, that would fit into a villain's land because you could make it about Mufasa.
Yeah,
Like,
make it Scar. You know,
like you
bring
could
Jeremy
be
Irons back, mess up your voice again. Let's do it.
like you could literally be in the ride vehicle during the stampede,
Okay, let's not go that far.
traumatizing us.
Next
That,
thing you
but
know,
would that be perfect?
Disney's newest ride, therapy.
But would that not be perfect? Like, because if they do a Lion King ride, like you have to be in the ride vehicle during that time, and then you also have to be in it during Hakuna Matata.
Yeah,
You can't have the highs without the lows, Austin.
I don't know. I could almost see them making a Winnie the Pooh-esque ride for Lion King 2.
Oh.
Where you're just kind of bouncing. You're kind of just bouncing through the savannah, you know?
I thought you were gonna say a Winnie the Pooh ride for the villains land. I was.
No, that's
Oh.
Mr. Toad's.
Oh god, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride makes a return. I wouldn't hate. I would not hate that.
Ride still feels like a fever dream.
It's a fever dream. It is 100% a fever dream. It did not happen. But with that, like, you would have, like, then it's going back to, like, what we were saying about, like, wait times. Like, it wouldn't be as critical to go get the autographs of the Wicked Stepsisters because they'd be in Villain Land all the time. So, like, it does devalue that a little bit. But I would love to see it.
Like, there's always going to be people that you can put into the parks, right? Yeah. If you tell me there's a chance for me to get an autograph from Powerline, I'm in. I'm down.
Besides that, the other potential for Beyond Thunder Mountain is what you're about to talk about, I'm guessing, which is the Dino Land replacement, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead and talk about that real quick, and I'll tell you what my crazy idea is. So, Dinosaur for sure.
Dinosaur is the worst ride ever, and
I
it's probably
love
because I
I
went on it as a kid and I was traumatized, so I can't ride it.
I love Dinosaur as a
I
ride.
hate
It
it.
is
I will
one of
go
my
on it
favorite
with my
rides.
wife, and I will still like clasp to her.
Okay,
Right? I was traumatized.
ignoring like the animatronics and all that, the actual ride itself, like just the ride vehicle on the track is fun.
It, so
So
it's the same
regardless,
ride vehicle in Indiana Jones, right?
right, and that's what it's gonna become,
My
regardless of
problem, at least for me, right? I may be a bitch, whatever. The ride vehicle itself is traumatizing to me now.
Jesus Christ.
I was on Indiana Jones at Disneyland, and I still felt like it was Dinosaur.
I mean, it's basically the same thing. It isn't the Mummy ride at Universal the same ride vehicle.
No.
It's
No, the Mummy
similar.
Ride's a roller coaster. No. It has parts of like a ride vehicle, but then it becomes a roller coaster.
Yeah, at the end, but like the ride vehicle itself is very similar, unless I'm misremembering
Like
entirely.
the setup, yes. But
Yeah,
like the motion is really what gets me. Not
like
necessarily the
the
ride
like
vehicle you're
bouncing
right.
like it's like
Yeah,
driving.
that gets me.
I love Dinosaur. I'm not sad to see it go. I mean, I am a little bit, but I love Dinoland USA. Like the fact that it feels like a county fair midway in the middle of fucking Animal Kingdom is insane to me. Um,
I have a stupid question.
yeah.
There is a ride and Disney that has Bill Nye. Is that Dinosaur?
No, wasn't that the Imagine? Wasn't that Epcot? I don't think it's there anymore. Wasn't that Journey Through Imagination, or am I misremembering that?
I'll look it up. Continue with what you're saying.
Irrelevant. Um, so what we're saying is essentially what we assume and what I think the rumors are is that Dinosaur 100% is becoming Indiana Jones. But what does that mean for the rest of Dinoland USA? The rumor and what we believe is Tropical Americas. Now, what does Tropical Americas entail? So, if you were remembering like 5 minutes ago when I was talking about the brilliant expansion of the fifth theme park for Disney Orlando, my original thought was for a Tropical Americas theme park as a whole, not just a little throw into Animal Kingdom, because Tropical Americas also would work in Magic Kingdom. It just wouldn't fit as well to the whole like fantasy aesthetic.
Bill Nye is in Dinosaur, by the way.
Is he? I don't remember him in
Yeah.
Dinosaur. I
You hear
remember
his
the
voice
woman.
describe
Oh,
like the
okay.
different periods of the dinosaurs.
So Tropical Americas replacing Dinoland USA. I don't like just imagining the area of Dinoland USA. I don't like it because when I think Tropical Americas, I'm expecting Encanto and Coco. Is that what you're
That's what
thinking
it
too?
is. Yes, that's what it is. That's what the like concept art from Disney revealed. It looked like the Madrigal house and you know Latin
It
slash Hispanic views that could be seen as Coco.
And that's what it has to be because, like, oh, sorry, yawning. Encanto's probably the biggest recent movie for Disney. I think Wish was really underrated. It's so
Mm-hmm.
good. Um, and Coco, like, yeah, there's the Mexico Pavilion, but like, we never really got a full exposure of Coco, and that feels weird to say because we're talking
Get
about
rid
the
of Grand
Lion King.
Fiesta.
We're talking about like Lion King finally getting a ride, and Lion King came out in 94, 96, something
Yeah,
around there. Um, but it feels like Coco's overdue for something more than
yeah.
just a restaurant.
I have an opinion on what should be in place of Tropical Americas too when we get done with this.
Like in like what should be there as well as Encanto
Instead,
and Coco,
in
instead
lieu
of
of,
that, instead
yeah,
of. So with Indiana Jones, what else would you have?
Zootopia.
I mean, that makes sense because is it Disney
I mean,
that
they've already
has?
announced It's a Bug's Life is changing to a Zootopia show.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was changing to something else.
I'm I might be wrong, but I'm like 95% sure it's been announced that Zootopia will replace It's a Bug's Life in the Tree of Life show.
I know it's tough to be a bug is changing. I didn't know it was to Zootopia though.
I'm pretty sure. I'm like 95% sure it's to Zootopia.
Oh, I mean,
I would
I'm
love
fine
to
with that. It
see.
would make sense
I would love to see Zootopia
as an
from
area.
overseas come here and hear
Yeah,
me out. Keep Dinosaur's ride vehicle. Make it going through the different biomes of Zootopia. Right? You're on a
that's
police chase with Judy and Nick,
oh God.
and you're going through all the different areas. Right? You go through the like little rodent town. Right?
Yeah,
You go through the tundra biome. You go through the rainforest. Right? You go through all these things, and then you end up at a concert sung by Shakira. Just saying.
you had me at Shakira. I'm in. Sign me up. You know what? Keep Indiana Jones and the West Coast. Um.
But I think if they wanted to do something with Indiana Jones, they should have done it.
Oh yeah, no, that should have been
Right?
done a long time ago.
Harrison Ford, we love him. He's an icon. He's limited on years.
And he hates the franchise.
Yeah. Like
He hates all the franchises he's
he
a part
loved
of.
it until
No, he didn't. No, he
he never
didn't.
liked it.
No. Go read an interview from Indiana or from Harrison Ford about any of the roles he's done at any point in time of his life. He does not care.
I love him. He's great.
What
But like,
what I
you know, they
hold
should
on.
have done it when he was still younger. You know?
Oh, it was on
Or
it
go ahead.
hold on. I'm sorry. I just remembered what it was. It was when he was for Red Hulk.
Oh,
What did he
yeah.
say?
I
What
think
did
I
he
remember
say?
that now.
Harrison Ford says Red Hulk acting and Captain America 4 required not caring and being an idiot for money, which I've done before. I don't mean to disparage it. And like
Okay.
he said that all the time. He's like, I don't care about your nerd culture. I'm just here for a paycheck and I'm really good at what I do, so deal with
And people still love him for it.
it. Do you
But they should have done Indiana Jones when the franchise was newer. And I mean, they owned it then, right? Not crazy?
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think it would be crazy to have some of those more obscure movies? Like, do you think Disney would reach into the bag instead of doing like a Lion King ride? Which again, I'm all on board for doing something like a Strange World ride because Strange World is not
Not a
an
Strange World.
it's not a great movie. I liked it, but it's
So
not a great movie.
I'm thinking there's two aspects to this. I could see it happening with the modernization in all aspects of Disney. I could also see it happening for the adverse of they don't want to introduce that modernization into the parks. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it's also like just the world of Strange World would fit so well in one of those rides. And I get what you're saying. There's a polar issue at play there when you talk about like people's
Yeah.
politics and the fact that people cannot separate their politics from like
Yes.
enjoyment.
And you have to understand that, and you know, I don't think that they'll do that because they know people can't do that.
People will be divisive about it.
Yes.
That's fair. I'm just saying it would be cool.
No, it would be awesome to have that world. I just don't think it would be possible.
What else we got? Because we've talked about all the big things.
Lion King. Some people like some people's like way out hopes a new World Showcase Pavilion.
Yeah, because they were zoned for like
They
4
have like
more.
they have like 4 or 5
Like
major
Brazil was
ones.
one that I think was supposed to be done a long time ago, and they never.
Yeah.
Like they just tied it into Mexico.
Yeah, which uncool, not fair. So I think a new pavilion would be cool. Some people want a Mary Poppins to be added.
Well, that was the 2019 because they were supposed to do. Was it the? I think it was at the England Pavilion. There was supposed to be a Mary Poppins edition, like an attraction, like a carousel or something. And they never did it, so that's just something I think that they want them to like go forward with.
Yeah. Like those, like I don't know. I also hot take going back to Beyond Thunder Mountain.
Hmm.
Would you be mad with a Cars ride?
Beyond Thunder Mountain, no.
You wouldn't be mad, or you wouldn't want it.
I wouldn't be mad. Like,
Okay,
I'm all
because it
for it.
fits
Bring
the
cars.
theming with
Bring cars.
it brings the theming with Thunder Mountain too. You
Yeah,
know, like
because
the
it's
radiator,
the Radiator
radiator
Springs,
springs, the red, orange, gray, tannish
the
rocks. It would
mesas.
work. Yeah, the
Yeah,
mesas. Thank you. That's the geographical term.
yeah. I wouldn't be mad about it. It wouldn't fit if it's Villain's Land, but there's a chance it's not Villain's Land, and they're gonna do like, what was it called? What was the ranch called that was there before?
What?
There was like a petting zoo over there, like way before we were born.
Oh,
Disney World Petting Zoo? Is that right?
good
What
question mark?
was it
Question mark.
called?
Affection section.
No, 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 no.
I would say like there's
Disney
still a petting
World
zoo technically.
Ranch.
Was it in Magic?
Yes. This is like old, 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 old.
I don't know. All I'm
What
seeing is the
was it
Tri-Circle D
called?
Ranch.
Animal attraction closed Disney. Closing after. Oh my god, no, this is gonna bother. Hold on. Permanently closed attractions we'll never see again. This is an article. Captain EO, Body Wars, Flying
Oh
Saucers,
God,
great movie,
Body
Red
Wars.
Horizon.
I'm glad I never had to experience that.
Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. Ooh. Go away. That's not it. I swear to God, I'm not making.
I think you're making this up, dude.
No, no, no.
Are you thinking of Rafiki's?
No.
I feel like you're thinking of Rafiki's.
No. Okay, it was at Disneyland. It was Big Thunder Ranch. Fuck you, it was real.
Big Thunder Ranch.
Big Thunder Ranch. Fuck you, it was real. Permanently closed January 11th, 2016.
That's actually really recent.
I thought it was older than that. It was in Frontierland. Outdoor petting zoo. I wasn't crazy.
Oh, it became Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Good to know you're not losing your mind. That's
Yeah,
good to know.
you were trying to tell me I was wrong.
I mean, you did say it was in Magic Kingdom, so you
The
were
ranch
technically-
hosted the Billy Hill and the Hillbillies show after they left Golden Horseshoe Saloon.
The what and what and what?
Billy Hill and the Hillbillies. We're East Coast kids. We didn't do all this.
Yeah, I've only been to Disneyland once.
It's weird how like on the West Coast they have like this shit, but like this is where so the Billy Goat on Big Thunder Mountain, like it came from this.
Oh.
Because Billy, hold on. Now we're going down a rabbit.
Oh, not the rabbit hole.
Big Thunder Mountain. It came because Billy the Goat, Disney Wiki. See, it's a thing.
I just want you to know, I think we're around 2 hours.
Big Thunder.
We're almost at 2 hours.
The Critter Carousel.
Critter Carousel.
Pixar Pier. Okay. Look, it's a thing. It was a thing. We have been on this for way too long, so we need to wrap it up. We will potentially do a reaction to D23, but I did not expect this to go this long. If you are still here, thank you for listening to us. And if you
must
haven't
like
yet,
Disney.
you either like Disney or you like us, one of the two. Or both. That's also an option.
Preferably both.
If you do like what we do here. If you do like what we do here, hit all those buttons, subscribe, follow, like, all those things, leave review, whatever. Follow us on social media at No Reserves on all platforms. Do you have anything else Disney related?
Besides the fact that I'm going this weekend and you're not, no.
Fuck you. Like I said, we're gonna release this early, and then we might do a reaction to D23 once it finishes on Monday and set on Tuesday.
Depending on how much is released.
Yeah, depending on how, like, it could just be a bunch of vague hand gesturing towards Disneyland.
Things 10 years in the future, and it's just going to be like, all right.
Yeah, or it's gonna be like, oh, we're doing a ton of stuff for the international parks, but fuck you. Like that, which I wouldn't be opposed to. Like I would be opposed to as like a me because like it's a lot harder for me to be like, all right, I'm Disney Sea, than it is like, oh, I'm hopping on a plane to Florida.
Yeah.
But or they're gonna like double down on like cruises and stuff like that because those do make them a lot of freaking money right now.
What do the
And
cruises?
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be just like if it's just a lot of like vague hand gesturing towards like Disneyland tomorrow or whatever, Disneyland forward.
I don't think they can afford it with Epic Universe. I think it's going to be a big release. I don't think it'll be the park, like I
But I
said.
feel like the Marvel, because Marvel starts tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah.
Marvel could carry because they have a lot to announce and a lot of like people they're gonna bring on stage, and like that alone could carry the whole event. But I feel like the parks and attraction is the make or break this year for D23
Yeah.
because there's so much that we didn't get. Because is this the first year since COVID or was last year the first year since COVID? Because 2019 was the last one before this.
Last year, I believe.
Okay. So like there's a lot still on the table they have to do. And with Epic Universe, like Epic Universe looks epic. So they've got to do something with the parks. But
No,
we will
sorry,
talk
2022. There's two since then.
Okay, so there's been two. We'll
Yeah.
we'll talk all about this in a review if there's anything that huge that comes out. Otherwise, we'll just do it as like a bonus episode after our basketball episode next week. We'll figure it out. Um, but hey,
And
let
you
us know
should
if you
check
like
out
this,
the announcements so that you can hear us talk about them.
right? And get our opinion so you can get mad that we disagree with you. Besides that, we will see you guys on Sunday for sure. We will be back with our shooting guards list. I promise. One way or the other.
Next
If I have
Sunday.
to record it by myself, it'll be here.
Not
And then
tomorrow, Sunday. Next Sunday.
next Sunday. And then Angelo and Alex should be back this Thursday with the football podcast because the preseason is about to start, correct? Doesn't it start on Thursday?
But technically, already started.
Okay, I don't care. It's football. And there's a reason I'm not on that one. It's starting, so they're ramping up. And if you like what we do here, you'll like what they do there. Listen to it. We've rambled this outro forever. We're really doing great tonight. I hope Angelo actually listens to it as he edits because he will be upset at like everything we've said because he does not like Disney. Thanks, guys. We will see you next Sunday. Have a great weekend.